Welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. Here are the top 10 dark Japanese urban legends you have never heard of. Kicking off the list at number 10, Noh Mask. I'm not gonna lie, Jim Carrey's The Mask, that movie terrified me as a child. The villain in that movie is scarier than anything DC has ever done. Hands down. Way too, I don't know how they did that. That's like some next level CGI. Noh masks are traditionally used in theater, and while that sounds fun and all, urban legends are here to ruin said fun. That's my job. Hello, hi. They are considered to be supernatural in nature. A Noh mask represents both a smiling and sad face depending on how you look at it. We love perspective. Nothing says art like perspective, right? We've seen these around for quite some time, but have you ever looked into the mask's history before? There's a lot of dark details in there. When kept in the house, these masks are said to draw negative energy from their owner. Maybe that's why your roommate is so cranky all the time, okay? Tell Brittany to cool down. Over time, the mask just keeps consuming all of this energy, so much so that the mask consumes the owner completely. Yeah, like in Jumanji, you just get sucked in. What a horrible way to go. Also a terrifying movie. Also a movie that scared me as a kid. After that point, you're trapped in the mask. You're trapped in a different dimension, the dimension of pain. Yeah, not art or theater. Pain. Bad stuff. Number 9, the slit-mouthed woman. Okay, I gotta tell you, these names, they're horrifying enough. The slit-mouthed woman. Pretty much nails it, I'd say. Perhaps the most popular Japanese urban legend of all time. I had to throw it in right at the beginning here. It's an ordinary sweet old woman. At first, this woman will appear on the casual side until she gets close to you. Then she has sort of a mask on her face. But there's nothing unusual about this woman other than the mask. She usually appears before those walking at night alone, and then she'll ask, "You, am I beautiful?" Really important question here. This is a good one. You don't want to mess this one up, okay? So pay attention. If your answer is no, you'll be taken out on the spot. With scissors too. Yeah, it's a horrible, horrible fate. It's dark stuff. If you answer yes, she will take her mask off to reveal her smile. That makes you go, oh, I get it. The slit-mouthed woman. Makes sense. Yeah, her name. Remember that name? It's an important one. Her smile has been slit from ear to ear. And at this point she says, how about now? If you say no, again, death follows. But if you're smart and say yes, she will cut an identical smile onto your face, which is still better. That's way better. Trust me, it's better. Legend goes, there's a way to confuse her long enough that you might be able to escape. You have to keep it somewhere in the middle with the responses, kind of like Pinocchio from Shrek. You're like, well, technically, I didn't not say you weren't not attractive, but... Number 8, Curse of the Red Room. I'll start by saying, not that red room. Freaks, all right? It's another video. This one's a little bit different. It all started with a pop-up. Yeah, remember the time before ad blocker? Well, this is what it was like. Chris, do you remember like ads popping up all the time? Like just ruining your family computer? You're like, well, I'm embarrassed now because of this thing I couldn't control. That's now in front of me and my entire family. God, they sucked. A time before ad blocker, what was it like? Well, it was demonic, apparently. There's this one pop-up, and if you see it, you're doomed. It pops up and it says, do you like? And when the user continues to close all these pop-ups that says, do you like, the question eventually changes from, do you like, to do you like red? And finally, eventually, it reappears over and over and it says, do you like the red room? I would eat my computer at this point if this kept popping up. I would be not even like scared, I would just be annoyed if that many pop-ups kept coming out. I'd be like, oh my God, no, get out of here. Once the question is finally answered and you cave and you click yes, then the pop-up leads you to a website. The website is a list of people's names, and then the user will see their name getting added to said list. Suddenly, they'll then feel a presence behind them, and the rest is, well, as you could have guessed, bloody history. Yeah, this is a dark urban legend list, okay? So buckle up. These aren't for the faint of heart. Better get that ad blocker going now, or else you'll end up in your own red room. Number 7, taxi driver. I'm mostly team Uber now. I'm pretty lazy, but this urban legend here, I don't know if I'm ever gonna take a ride anywhere ever again, period. I'm walking from now on, that's it. Legend goes, some nights a person will suddenly appear on the side of a road and hails a taxi. And if you're a taxi driver, this is where you might want to pay attention on what not to do during your shift. Usually the driver pulls up for this mysterious person hailing the taxi. They will get in and then request to ride somewhere the driver hasn't heard of before. But at that point the passenger offers reassurance and then directions. No problem, this happens before, okay, this is normal. So they travel to this place and they go further and further away from the town or the city that they started in, and as you could have guessed, the request would go somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Just not good. It's getting worse and worse, but hang in there. Eventually, the driver will likely turn around to take a peek at this passenger once it's, you know, getting kind of sketchy, and then that's when the driver realizes, They disappeared. Yeah, no passenger anymore, just empty seats right behind them. Somebody you've been chatting with, taking directions from, suddenly they've just vanished. I couldn't imagine, that's scary. But also, who's gonna pay that fare now? Like out of town or away from the city, that's gonna cost you. That's gas now too? Buddy. Number 6, cowhead. This is an urban legend that dates back to the 17th century. Yeah, we got some ancient dark history for this one. My personal favorite. Let's dive in. It's said that this legend is so scary that if I told you it, or if I knew it, I myself would pass away. So we're basically talking about nothing, but I'll do my best. Those who share this tale do so in a way that describes what it's about, so I'll try and do so myself. The story is called Cowhead, and if listeners hear it, they would be washed in fear instantly. They would tremble for days, and in some cases die of fright. Copies were burnt, every single copy, of course, so we don't know what it was about per se. It's a story about a story that we don't know. But there is hope, there's a shred of hope. The last copy was torn into small pieces and then split up. There's a few cases where people have told details, the last surviving details of the story, but they've all ended up in the same way. It's just a catatonic state, trapped somewhere, and their eyes are rolled back. Not a great scene at all, it's horrible. Has something to do with a school. That's it. Number 5, Tomino's Hell. Tomino's Hell is a poem, and before you ask, yes, this one still does exist, and I can talk about the details. But there are many legends still surrounding it. One legend has it that the poem actually places a curse on whoever reads it, and the curse can bring either misfortune or, you guessed it, sometimes, death. The poem is dark in nature, obviously, or I wouldn't be talking about it. It's rich in demonic symbolism, and the contents of the poem that we do know are disturbing. Tomino, well, he's done something bad in this poem because in it, Tomino is suffering in the 7 circles of hell. And there's also theories that the poem is a representation of survivors' guilt. Both very dark. Little different than the poems I read growing up. Little different than, Tomino's Hell or Green Eggs and Ham. I'm like, it's a spooky Sunday. We're gonna go this way. Yeah, reading this poem brings nothing but death and bad fortune. So, there you go. If you wanna learn how to read, do so not with this one. Number 4, The Girl from the Gap. If you're claustrophobic, well, here's another fear to add to that pre-existing horrible one. The Girl from the Gap is a story of a creature or a monster that takes advantage of your fear of small spaces. She goes, oh, you're claustrophobic? No problem. I'll just haunt that specific place. Yeah, it doesn't matter how small, the Girl from the Gap can fit in. Either a crack or a crawl space, anything, she can be there, she can haunt it. Legend has it that if you make direct eye contact with the girl in said gap, she'll then ask if you want to play hide and seek. Yeah, as if she wasn't already hiding in a hiding spot in the first place, now she wants to play a game. No, I'm all set, thank you. I thought spiders were haunting enough in nooks and crannies, but this is a tad worse, my friends. I'm gonna go super glue every crack in this place. Number 3, Red Cape. I was worried about Bloody Mary growing up, but luckily I avoided her my whole life, Knock on wood, but like the Red Cape tale is next level. This one's another thing to avoid as well. Just adding it to the list of things not to read or look at or mention ever in my life. I'm like, great, I'm scared. The spirit of Red Cape waits in the stalls of specifically the ladies' washroom, usually in the last one in line. So specific. Once seated, the spirit's voice will then ask, do you want red paper or blue? Kind of like the Matrix, but a little different, you'll see. If you say red, you will go out and die in a horrible way. But if you say blue, you will lose all the air in your body and then also die. Yeah, they're both bad. I kind of made it feel like blue was gonna be better. It's not better. If you try and avoid the question by answering white paper, well, it's said that ghostly hands will then appear out of the toilet. Believe it or not, when you're sitting there doing your thing, just hi, and then pull you down into the underworld. Sometimes right out of the toilet. The best way to avoid Red Cape and any of these horrible, terrible fates is to politely refuse any single thing the spirit may offer you. Yeah, just leave, don't even wipe. Figure that out later, just be like, Number 2, Teke Teke. This legend starts off with a girl who is apparently cut in half by a train. Nice dark kickoff. And her vengeful spirit now appears with no lower body and instead travels on her hands or her elbows, dragging her up her torso, making a, scratching sound when her nails hit the ground, obviously because she has lost her lower half. Therefore, she has to walk on her hands. Like that guy from Toy Story. There's a guy in Toy Story who walks around with just his top half. That would be exhausting, my gosh. If she encounters a person at night, which is when of course she happens to be, walking around, that's when she does her exercise, always at night. When she encounters you, at that point, she'll chase you down and then also try and cut them in half with a scythe to mimic her own demise. You know what I mean? Horrible, horrible stuff. She's out for blood and she's usually found around train stations, so if you're thinking about commuting, maybe take a cab. Or wait, maybe don't. I don't know. A lot of horrible haunted commutes in this list. Number 1, Okiku Doll. Always gotta end it on dolls. Here we go. The one thing that really gets me the most when it comes to anything paranormal or anything like that is dolls, for sure. Dolls. Chucky did a number on me growing up. That guy and the Bride of Chucky. The Bride of Chucky really got me. That was some hard stuff. So this doll is a doll that's said to hold the spirit of a young girl. And apparently it was originally bought as a gift for this girl by her brother, but the doll now resides in a temple where it has been since 1938. So things obviously went south at some point. Well, it turns out anybody else who tries to own the doll, they would also suffer some serious consequences at its hands. While the doll is and has been in a safe spot for quite some time now, it's said the hair of the doll continues to grow, even after continuously being cut. Imagine that job. Imagine being the barber who has to deal with that. I'd be like, how's that? Okay, I don't know. I think she answered. No thank you. Don't let the spirit fool you. Just because there hasn't been any activity lately doesn't mean it's not pure evil. Just waiting for you to visit. And those are the top 10 dark Japanese urban legends that you've never heard of. I've been your host, Taylor McWaters. If you want a part 2, gladly hit that thumbs up. We know what to do. See you next time. Bye.